First and foremost, this isn't a technical review. There's like a million of those already. Rather, this is a usability, fun factor, and portability review from someone on the go doing things like road trips, camping, or just for regular everyday carry. I bought my ROG Ally Z1E about a year and a half ago in order to play modern high-end games on something small enough to stick in my backpacking ruck and take out with me out into the woods. And as a matter of fact, you might have actually seen it in some of my videos. As one of the smaller gaming handheld PCs, it only has a 7-inch screen. It's one of the more compact options, but with the control sticks and everything, it's actually pretty bulky, so in order to protect it and the screen, especially if I'm out in the woods, I keep mine in a soft carrying case. It adds even more bulk, but it keeps all of my Ally stuff together and keeps the Ally nice and safe. My Ally is part of my everyday carry setup. I do have a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard for this thing, but I actually find myself not really using them at all. Since the Ally has a touchscreen and easy to remember hotkeys to do things like pull up the on-screen keyboard, and this thing works with like literally a dollar store stylus, I get by quite easily without them. In fact, if all I'm doing is playing games on it, Windows boots up and Armory Crate loads up right away, which is designed to work with the built-in controller. All of my games show up there from all the different storefronts like Steam and Xbox, and it's actually really easy to load and jump in. When I go backpacking, I use a 65-liter rucksack, and my Ally bag slots right in at the top. All in, my complete Ally setup weighs 1.648 kilograms, or if I cut the mouse and keyboard, it weighs just 1.376. One really bad downside to using this thing untethered is the ridiculously tiny 40-watt-hour battery. If I'm playing something intense, the battery only lasts about 30 to 45 minutes from a capped 80% charge. Now, the battery bank that I bring out backpacking doesn't have a fast charge capability, so if I do have to charge from it, it's an overnight kind of affair. To be able to keep playing while I charge, I need a power bank capable of at least 45-watt fast charging. I'm more inclined to take my Ally with me on backpacking trips where I'll be staying overnight at a campground or motel where I have power access so that I can fast charge. I love the fact that this thing has a 3.5mm headphone jack. I'm a wired headphones kind of guy. I find the loss of the 3.5mm audio jack incredibly stupid. Now, on road trips, that's where my Ally really shines. When I have to stop and charge my Tesla Model 3, generally I'm only stopped for 15 to 20 minutes. I can whip out my Ally and play for a bit while the car charges. Even if it's a longer charging session for a particularly long stretch of the drive, the battery life of the Ally actually matches up perfectly, and then when I'm done and ready to hit the road again, I can throw it on my Model 3's USB charger, which is just enough to charge up the Ally to full for my next charging stop, since the car, at highway speeds, usually goes for about 1.5 to 2.5 hours between charging stops. The Ally has a micro SD card reader that can handle up to 2 terabyte micro SD cards. That's enough for me to put whatever the hell I want on there, media-wise. That's enough stuff on there for me to subsist on it for many, many months. Game-wise, I find that the Ally really shines with like Xbox 360 era games. They run pretty well on the 10-watt silent power profile, which gets the most out of the Ally Z1E's tiny battery. It can run modern games. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 and Persona 3 Reload, which run great on turbo mode, but because of how quickly that drains the battery, it's kind of annoying to pop the cord in and out every half hour or so. I find myself using the Ally to play story-driven single-player games. I'm a sucker for well-thought-out worlds, lore, and characters. I've been playing through Dispatch, which actually runs great on silent mode and is a phenomenally made story. I highly recommend it. I find that the ROG Ally and other PC handhelds are not really all that great for short gaming sessions unless a game has very frequent autosave. The sleep mode on my ROG Ally sucks sweaty balls, and more often than not, when I wake it up out of sleep mode, whatever game I had running crashes to desktop. What worries me about the tiny battery is battery degradation. These things use LiPo batteries, which are usually rated only for up to 500 cycles before they're expected to hit 80% of their original capacity. And because of how small the battery is on this thing, even playing lower power games, it's not unusual for me to cycle this thing from 20% to 80% 2, 3, or even 4 times in a single play session. We'll call it about 2 full cycles equivalent. So if I do that every night, that's about 730 cycles in 1 year. Now, I do normally keep Smart Charge on to cap the battery to 80% charge in order to prolong the battery health. And here's what my battery health is showing after a year and a half of owning my Ally. That's about a little over 17% battery degradation. And just for comparison, my Model 3, which has an LFP battery, I just hit 3 years with it, and it has 6.8% degradation. These gaming handhelds, the batteries in them, they're not built to last, man. Thankfully, at least with the Ally, it is relatively easy to change out the battery. Now, the question is, with the ROG Ally approaching being a 3-year-old platform, is it still worth it these days? And actually, yes, I actually do think it is. Someone raised a really good point to me while I was in the middle of writing this video. With computer hardware already at all-time highs in terms of price, and AI is now sucking up all of the RAM and NAND storage, set to crank up RAM prices to absolutely ridiculous levels. This person said, and I actually think I agree with them, that the absurd prices of new gaming setups are going to slow down consumer adoption, and older gaming hardware is going to stick around for a lot longer. Meaning something like the ROG Ally Z1E is still going to have quite a lot of shelf life if you don't mind the tiny battery capacity. I'll leave some Amazon affiliate links in the description if you are interested in checking one out. If you're new to the channel, I'm all about the EV adventuring lifestyle, including gaming in weird places. So make sure you subscribe if you're into that shit.